Hiya,
Oh yeah, how you going?
going good. It's a
Okay,
blizzardy kind of day here. How are you doing?
hot,
Hot.
very hot, very
Well,
hot.
we're at
We've had
opposite
we've
ends,
had
eh?
we've had rain and hot every day for about 2 months. It's rained every single day virtually. Anyway, the
Well,
reason
that's
that we haven't,
interesting because we've had the darkest winter here in Canada. It's rare to see the sun. Really, really dark winter.
you sent me some beautiful photographs of a really blue light with the snow. That you were proclaiming you thought was Pluto's influence because Pluto's kind of around at the moment.
Well, and I see Pluto as the divine feminine, and
Uh,
it's a revolutionary energy, and it's moving, supposedly moving into the house of Aquarius. And this is the water man. It's the only time the man is really represented on the wheel. And I feel like what we're dealing with there is a lot of emotional energy, but also it's in our thoughts. So it's about finding harmony between our thoughts and our emotions. And Pluto is a revolutionary force of truth. It's uh, it's not going to settle for less half truths. It's here to expose and it'll be interesting. Sorry, my dog alarm is going off. I'll try and mute.
you try and mute, did you say? Okay. She's muted. It's up to
Okay,
me.
I'm
So
okay to mute now.
the
It was a
the
false
first
alarm.
the first part that we wanted to start with was by saying we know we haven't made any videos for a couple of months, even though we've been in touch. But the beginning of that was actually a my internet went out for about 2 weeks, completely no internet at all, followed by one huge cyclone which interfered with everything. And then from then on, my life has just been utter chaos. Ginger's life's not been as chaotic as mine's been. Um, Mine's just been very, very busy with different things coming in. So I'm just going to mute you. You take over. You take over for a sec.
I think that it's pretty relevant. I think that the cyclone sort of represents how a lot of people are feeling right now. And while my life has not been chaotic, it's been far from comfortable. It's been a really, like I said, a dark winter. Winter for me is all about water, and water is all about our emotions. And I feel like the cyclone is helping us to dig up deeply buried emotions, the stuff that we don't want to look at. And this is creating a little bit of that chaos. But we need chaos. And with that chaos comes change. So it'll be interesting to see what the spring brings to us.
The other thing that we were talking about earlier is I've started smoking again. I started smoking about 2 weeks ago,
You're going to
and
get
the
some
reason,
feedback about that.
but the reason that I started smoking was because I couldn't handle, and it had been building up. There was this like gross negativity of input thoughts, and I didn't feel that they were coming. Um, I just felt that there was too much negative thinking on my part. So I started smoking, and the second I started smoking again, it disappeared,
You were
completely
so funny.
disappeared.
I remember you saying, I love this. I feel so much better. I
Yeah,
can
I know.
relate because I've let it go. It's a habit I've had my whole life. I've let it go for up to 2 years once. And in hindsight, I just wasn't as comfortable as I am as a smoker.
That's 2 years for me now. It
It's
was two
been two
years
years.
almost to the day.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm.
Oh
Anyway,
my goodness, you and
so
I with our parallel synchronicities.
one of the things that we were talking about was the idea that I mean, I used to have a really, 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 really terrible, shocking singing voice. Like everybody would go, "Oh, shut up, you can't sing." And as I've gone through life and I've cleared more and more of, I guess, emotional blockages and become more authentic in self, my tonal aspect has improved. I can actually tone now. I can actually, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a good singer, but I'm certainly a hell of a lot better than I used to be. And we were talking about how I don't know why that relates to anything or why I'm talking about that. You got anything to say about that?
I actually do. Actually, I'm listening and I'm reminded about the number of times that I shared this a lot in the wellness shop that I was at for a number of years. And people would come in and I'd say, sometimes to find the block, you have to sing the musical scale. And when you hear that you're off key, so do, re, mi, fa, you're hitting each one of the chakras. And if you hear something that doesn't sound quite right, you know that this is an area that requires attention because the tone is everything. It's all about sound and vibration.
Yeah, we've talked about that. The sword and the stone, the
Yes,
the two S's, the sword and the stone, the word and the tone.
correct. So using the
Um,
right tone is of critical importance for us to have balance.
Absolutely. If you say to somebody, stop, they
Oh,
stop.
yeah. Yeah.
I can remember pulling into a service station years ago. I worked shift work and I used to finish at like weird hours. And I pulled into a service station at about 2 o'clock in the morning. And there was a gang of youths in the middle of the service station having this one on one group one side, one group the other side, going for each other. And I was tired and I wanted to get home. And I filled my car up with petrol. I thought, I'm going to have to walk through this gang of youths fighting. And I
That's
just
not good.
walked up and went, make some way, please. I didn't even say please, I think, make way or something. And they just parted and I walked through and then they continued doing what they were doing.
That's how you got to do life. Make
But I
way.
was just,
That's very, I love that advice. Just carry
I
on.
was like, I was just like over it. I was like, well, I've got to pay for the petrol. I just thought, sorry, I've got to pay for the petrol. I'm just too tired to bother. So I'm not
Yeah,
going to be
don't,
worried about
I'm
this.
not here. Like, don't even notice me. Just let me go.
But I reckon it was the mother. I reckon it's the mother tone. The
Well, and it's
not.
the lack of fear.
Mm,
It's the lack
mm,
of fear because we invite confrontation. I think when we show fear, this is why my grandmother used to say, never show a dog fear.
no, it's
Because if
hard
they
though.
sense that you're afraid, and I think we've talked about this before, if animals sense your fear, they're going to respond accordingly. They're going to see you as a
I
threat because if you're afraid, you might hit first.
I used to get bitten by dogs half of my life. Everywhere I went, dogs would come out and bite me.
That's so
And I did.
unreal.
If there was 10 people with me, the dog would run out of the house and bite me.
Were you
I
afraid of the
got
dog?
yeah. I had an auntie that had a spaniel that used to bite me all the time.
I had a vicious spaniel as a child, but it was my buddy, so we were good for the mailman.
Right. Well, this one didn't like me at all. And it created a fear in me. But then I went out and when I had Ashka, I had Malamute. My Malamute used to run up to vicious dogs and befriend them, or actually taunt them, and then come and
Oh,
hide behind me.
oh,
And I reckon that's why Ashka came into my life, actually, to teach me not to be frightened of vicious dogs.
yeah. Well,
Certainly
there,
overcame my fear because I had no choice because I had to protect Ashka.
well, and when we learn about dogs, we learn about humans because dogs and humans they live very closely for a reason. They've all
Mm,
got their own little personalities. I've got more than my share here, and no two are alike. They're
okay.
very, very different approach to all of it. Affection, responding to noises. Some of them, there's some similarities, but overwhelmingly, they're quite individual and unique, like people.
So, so anyway, we're back. We've got a bit of a plan in relation to talk about the Year of the Dragon,
Hmm.
and we wanted to talk about that. What's actually revealing itself currently is it seems that this is going to be a year of huge purging, and some of that will be physical. So it'd be like, right, get your gloves on and get into your sheds and get into your uh, uh, drawers and into your cupboards and start getting rid of the stuff that you just
Lose,
don't need.
lose the clutter. Like, how much of it do you really need?
Exactly. So a lot of it's going to be in the physical in that sense, and then the other portion of it will be in the esoteric. So the necessity to clear your mind, the necessity to clear out the clutter, to get rid of the thoughts that don't serve you and purge the impossible, really. It's gonna be a very, very, very emotionally um trouble facing year. We're gonna be facing our demons this year, I think.
Oh, I agree. You know, the dragon is not here to sugarcoat things, and Pluto shares that same energy. There'd be no sugarcoating. To me, I see Pluto as the great grandmother, you know, the elder, and she's here now to tune us up and say, "What the heck have you been doing?" You know, and really, it's they call it a revolutionary energy for a reason. It's going to reset, recalibrate in a big way, and I find it very interesting. So we'll be Pluto is in Aquarius for most of this year, and then makes a retrograde back into Capricorn. So where it's been for a number of years. And what did we learn over the last 20 years when Capricorn has had Pluto? Well, Capricorn and Aquarius are both ruled by Saturn. This is AKA Satan. And but it's the dark teacher. It's the dark lord. It's the disciplinarian. And it's
Mm.
asking us to work hard. And this is sort of like the energy of Capricorn is used. So they use everything that's available to them. And they work very hard typically, and they're quite wise. It's the 10th house. Well, now we've moved, Pluto is moving from the 10th to the 11th house. We're moving from Earth energy Pluto into air energy Pluto. And this is going to be a significant transformative year for people, I feel.
We watched an Amanda Ellis. I'll link it below. Amanda Ellis video the other day, and it was all about this conjunction that started on about the 28th of January, which will go through to the 5th of March. And it's a conjunction of Pluto and Mars, I think. Was that?
Not, I
Uh,
can't recall now.
I
I'm
think it was
terrible
Pluto
with,
and Mars, but
yeah.
she was saying that it's the return of the twin flame energy. She was saying it was the return of, and the twin flame's different than the soulmate, supposedly. Um, the soulmate's somebody that you can be codependent with, whereas the twin flame energy is interdependent. So
Yes.
the twin flame energy is the energy where it's necessary for you to deal with the twin flame on an independent level, but uh, complementing each other. Not as in, oh, your hair looks pretty today. I don't mean I don't mean on that level. I mean on a much, much deeper level, and complementing and utilizing those factors that you've got as common denominators, soul factors like core factors, and the coming together of the two energies, either on the physical plane or the literal plane. So it could be like the return of the twin flame this year. Um, and
Well,
with
that's
that, what
interesting because I think that was of great significance to people in 2017, and the eclipse is being revisited this year. We're crisscrossing this year from what we experienced in 2017. So it'll be an interesting year. Interesting to see like what seeds did we plant in 2017? What were we asking for? Because I feel like it's about to come to fruition. That's a
uh,
little bit of a, I went in a slightly different direction, but with the twin, if I can go back for a minute again, with the
yeah,
twin flame,
hang
I
on,
love
I've
what
got
you
it.
were saying. I love how you were describing that.
And the other thing about it is she's talking about it being really healing for the divine masculine
Yes.
and the work that people are doing is on a collective level. It's not really personal. It's more um clearing stuff for the purposes of the collective. Um of the divine masculine. That's what she was saying, basically. I've got to nip off for a couple of seconds. You just talk for a second. I'll be back.
Oh, that shouldn't be hard. Uh, I've got a number of thoughts. Nigel from our dearly departed friend Nigel from the Devil's Playground used to talk a lot about his theory about copy paste. And for me, the twin flame experience is slightly different than how many people describe it. I really love how Kim described it a moment ago because it is, to me, it's a copy. It's like the original copy of who we are. So that part of us, the spirit, never changes, and it's always there to guide us. And this avatar that we've come to occupy has mostly been led by ego. That's my personal belief. And it's a coming together of spirit and ego that we're asking for when we're trying to get the best possible outcome from this whole twin flame experience that I believe each one of us has. It's that original copy that we're trying to make peace with down here in this earthly realm. Are you there, Kim? Well, she really left. Well, yeah, that's how I see the twin flame, and it's a original copy of who we are, and we get to come down here and incarnate and have these different experiences in different avatars, and I do wonder if we're able to somehow choose what our journey is going to, at the very least, choose what classes, what lessons do we want to learn as we incarnate into this realm.
Agree?
It'll be whatever we expect it to be. Oh, you're back?
I'm back.
Great.
I
We
might have to
missed
go
you.
again.
That's okay. I hope all is okay.
Yeah, everything's okay. Okay. So right. So we made loads and loads and loads of notes. We've been talking a lot because I've been traveling to visit my sister in hospital, and it's been taking a couple of hours to get there. Um, but so we've been having long conversations in the car on the way there, and we've been talking about all kinds of stuff. One of the things that I did want to talk about was Paula, who's in one of the last videos that we did. Both Paula and I got Christmas presents from completely different people, completely different, they weren't related at all. But I was having a bit of a chuckle about mine because it was called Butterfly PT. And I'm thinking, um, how do you catch butterfly pee? I have this vision of some person being employed to run around after butterflies catching their pee. But
That is
I
such
know
a
it. I know it's a flower. A butterfly pea is a flower, but it was just what came to mind at the time. But I've never heard of it before, and somebody bought me some butterfly PT.
Did you have
Anyway,
any of them? Have you tried it?
no, I haven't tried it yet. It might be a bit toxic.
I can't imagine drinking butterfly tea. Never mind
Anyway,
how do you catch it.
I went round to Paula's, and somebody bought Paula butterfly PT for Christmas too. That was the only present she got. Well, she got one from her sister, I think, but it was just really weird that we both got bought butterfly PT. Anyway, so
Has she
it was just,
tried it?
I don't know. I haven't asked her. But the point is that then we were talking about butterfly transformation. Maybe both of us are in the year of a transformation, and maybe that was the message that was carried because of the metamorphosis of the butterfly and the fact that both of us are particularly in massive change, massive, huge stuff, which
Well,
is
and I
always
think that
important in a
that's
relationship.
symbolic of a lot of people right now. We're in that transformative state. But it is very interesting that the two of you both got butterfly PT.
I know, I know.
I'm gonna have to
So
investigate. I don't know if I would drink it, but I'm gonna have to read about this now.
I haven't tried it yet. So the other thing that Ginger and I have been paying particular attention to is the phases of the moon and what is actually going on during that phase. Because we would actually like to center down on this a little bit and actually be able to identify the times of the month that it's completely normal that we would be more emotional, say, at this time of the month, or it's completely normal that we wouldn't have anything going on at all during this time of the month, or it would be completely normal to be hatching new ideas at this particular time of the month. And what we've been trying to do is we've been trying to make some sort of semblance of comprehension in relation
Well,
to how that translates to the real world.
it's a bit like the circadian rhythm. Like everything has a pattern. There's a right time and a wrong time to be doing things. And if we can get into the flow, life just becomes a lot easier. Like a lot of us become ill at the changing of the season because we're not prepared. We haven't done any fasting. We're not preparing our body for a major transformation as we journey from one one part of the wheel that's dominated by fire or earth or water or air. Like that's a major shift to go from one to the next. And I think that people become very sick. It's the seasonal flu. And I'm going to go so far as to say that a lot of people have been able to capitalize on this.
Right.
But I think if we can sort of dodge that and know that it's coming and become a little more harmonious with other people who are fasting. Why and when are they fasting? I would say that it has a lot to do with the moon cycles and the sun cycles and just the energetic patterns that our body is experiencing, whether we're aware of it or not.
A lot of people in my world at the moment are experiencing um, bad coughs, fluid on the lungs, water on the lungs. So their breathing's been prohibited or inhibited. A lot of people, um, and as you're saying, it's related to emotional states and not clearing those emotional states. So not necessarily being realistic about things, not
Well,
recognizing
I
things as
feel
they are.
actually it's the stuff that's hidden. It's the transformation, like I say, that energy of the divine feminine Pluto, returning and starting 0 degrees Aquarius. It's all about uncovering the parts that we are keeping hidden. And these are
Uh,
stagnant waters because we haven't cleared it. And it's all happening in the lungs around the heart chakra. So
mm,
we're about to open the heart chakra like never before. That's how I see it.
yeah.
And I believe for a lot of people, it's traveled from lungs, if you can actually get those waters moving. But I think it's very important for us to be curious. Why? What is the lesson that this is trying to teach me? And, with any luck at all, it's going to come to you that, oh, geez, I still have that there, a little bit of bitterness about something or some kind of a low vibrational energy that is something that you have been reluctant to deal with, you've wanted to deal with, you have not been able to cut cords with. It's still there and it's weighing us down. And we can't have that in the next realm as we ascend into our crystalline state. I really do
Mm,
feel that it's about becoming lighthearted, but the avatar will become less weighed down and more buoyant. Does that make sense?
definitely. I've got this statement in front of me. It's something I've just written down that things have not happened to me, but for me.
Hmm. That's right.
So if we can redefine the like try as much as possible to get rid of the victim mode.
Well, and I think that
Um,
a lot of what's been uncovered for people as we become a little gentler with our own personal ego. Again, without the ego, we wouldn't be having this experience here. They go in tandem, the spirit and the ego. I think you were away when I tried to touch on that, Tim.
yeah, yeah. The ego.
But
I mean,
that is
I
to
know
me the twin
there's a
flame. It's
lot.
the ego and the spirit, and it's a part of who we are, whether we're prepared to accept that or not. We can't
Mm,
deny the ego. The ego is there trying to guide us, and it has a point. sometimes, you know,
It
sometimes
gives
it's
us the
important.
drive.
Yeah,
It gives us the
sometimes it's
drive,
important for us to have our ego intact and but not out of balance, obviously.
and therein comes the whole self-esteem thing. The whole self-esteem journey, I think, has been. I'm trying to think if the feminine or the masculine's been more affected by that in the long term.
I would say the
Um,
masculine because like they've been crucified, especially in recent years, for, being narcissists. Like
yeah,
overwhelmingly, I think women are pointing at them and saying, oh, they're narcissists.
yeah,
Meanwhile, pile it on. Like gentlemen have not been allowed to express emotions, and they certainly do have them. And
oh, absolutely.
they're not maybe known to be the greatest communicators. Like women, that's their strength. Men typically have strength in other things.
I had
Um, you know,
a young man living next door to me. This is a few years ago, and on a Friday night, he used to get drunk. And if anybody was walking down the street, he'd just walk out of his house and start beating them up. If he saw a man walking down the street, he'd just go out and start punching him. He did get arrested for it, and he got prosecuted for it. But it happened quite a few times before that happened. But I actually, he was a nice young man. It was just that he hadn't found an expression for this pent up stuff inside of him,
very
and
well said.
he hadn't found like years ago, there would be boxing rings or boxing clubs or football clubs or there were all these clubs where young men went to and they exercised their that part of the energy.
Yes.
But
Well,
it seems that these places have gone.
oh, well, I think
Maybe
ours are
not.
still around.
I don't mean they've gone. I just mean that they're not like promoted or they're not as prolific or something.
I think people have come to realize that they don't need to become fit in that way. There's, go and actually put your hands on the soil, create a garden. There's other ways to stay fit.
Yeah.
Put your own good use. What a waste, get on a treadmill. My God, as if we're not on a big enough treadmill.
I mean, have you seen these memes going around of the kind of pictures of the muscled guys standing on the beach sort of 40 years ago in the 1960s, you know?
Hmm.
And now you get a line of guys on the beach and they're not really muscled anymore. They're just they uh, maybe I'm speaking way out of turn here. Um,
No, I know
it's
exactly
just an
what you're
observation.
saying. Like when we were
There's no
young, it
judgment.
was a very fit society. We didn't have the obesity that we have now. We had
No,
more gardens.
more gardens.
People still ate relatively clean food, and yeah, no, it's not like that now. It's very hard to get your hands on something that's actually natural and known by your body. Your body will know what to do with it if it's from nature. It's the synthetics that I think we have a very hard time with.
Synthetics in relation to what?
Food,
Oh, food, right? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
synthetic
the
food.
processed food. Yeah.
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
amount of
no,
people that eat sort of um I don't know, TV dinners or cans of beans or as a staple, you know, or I don't know,
well, there's very low
McDonald's or
value, a lot of low value food, and they create addictions because there's a number of chemicals in these foods that I'm aware of that cause you to crave more and more and more. You're never going to get enough, and you're always going to be in a state of hunger. So it's not giving you the nourishment you need. That's another reason why people are in a state of hunger. You're not getting the mineral support. The whole reason for eating food is to get these minerals that we so desperately need to keep our body lit.
um Amigo with the ego.
Mm,
That's been
that's where
your catch. That's been your catchphrase this year that you've been using.
taking
Um,
an ego out of your ego. And like I said, just tuning in to what that part of us is trying to express. And I'm not saying you should give it the wheel or let it have control of your life. But I do think it's important for us to tune in and recognize that we all have a little narcissist on board, and
And
we can all have a rather large ego about certain things. So it's important for us to hear the ego and say, look at this is how I'm going to move. I'm listening. Because if we don't tune into it, it becomes a bit of more of a rebellious energy and hard
okay,
for people to manage. So I think it's making amigo with your ego for me is about accepting who you are and becoming the most authentic and balanced version of you.
and learning how to speak your truth, learning how to actually vocalize it,
Hmm.
learning how to vocalize your truth, and not being afraid of the consequences or the ramifications of doing that. Um, be open and be honest, and just plod through it.
Well,
Um,
allow the ego to be heard, you know,
yeah, yeah,
and right or wrong, it's asking for an expression of energy. It needs to be expressed in some way. And the more we try to suppress it, this is why I think we cannot open the heart chakra because we're suppressing these energies, these emotions, and now these waters have become stagnant. So, with
yeah,
that, I feel like the only way to truly move those emotions is to, you know, I don't know, we have to tell ourselves a different story. To me,
yeah,
the ego is the same energy as the unmet needs of a small child. So you're looking at tantrums. We can't go through the life having expecting a good life if we're having tantrums about anything. You know, it's about also developing acceptance and kindness towards the dark parts of us.
it's still hard to not have judgment, but one of the things that really made me laugh was Ginger was telling me that she went to the doctors and she said to the doctor, and the doctor said, "What's your problem?" And she said, "I think I've got a caregiver disorder."
Yeah, hell, I was dead serious because I didn't know how to stop trying to. I was doing everything for everybody but me.
Have you got a tablet for that?
If you get a tablet, is her cure for that? Like, please stop it. Please make me stop being so nice.
Please make me stop helping people so much.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
just our nature. And boy, we're targeted sometimes by people that, if you're going to do it, I'll let you. You can come and do mine too.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So we've had to learn a lot since that was a long time ago. That was a couple of decades ago. I sat down and had that conversation with my doctor.
Wow,
I
wow, I
didn't
love
get the
that.
answers I was looking for, obviously, and learned how to become a more empowered, let's call it empath. And a more empowered empath is one who is authentically unapologetic about their own needs.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But I tell you what, it's very hard to do.
It certainly is. It's like building muscles that you didn't know you could build,
Hmm.
finding
And then,
strength that you didn't know you had.
but but also like this aspect of waiting to be asked.
Yes.
That is crucial. Because I can remember a time, a long story. I mean, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I can remember a friend coming to me and saying to me, "I've hurt my leg, I can't walk, and I've got to go to the hospital tomorrow." And I went, "Oh, I can help. I can take you." And but she didn't ask. She
You didn't
didn't
know.
say to me, "Can you take me to the hospital?" And I went and had the most horrendous day possible in every aspect. And she actually turned on me, this woman, because I didn't have enough petrol to come home.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, I'm not going to pay you to take me. You offered." And I'm like, "I haven't got enough petrol to take you home." Well, that's not my problem.
Oh my goodness. Well, these are big lessons, right? These are big lessons. I had a dear friend who was also she had a bit of a caregiver disorder also and bring strangers home from where she worked. and look after them and befriend them and then regret it.
Mm,
Oh dear, what have I done?
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, big lessons. She said to me one day, she said, sometimes you can be so nice and then somebody just comes out of nowhere and punches you right in the face. And
yeah.
it really struck me when she said that because I thought of all people to say that, like one of the most caring people. And I thought this was obviously a big lesson for her. And I think a lot of us have learned to wait until we're asked, because some people see it as us interfering. We know more. We think we have all the answers. They have a very belligerent inner
It's
dialogue.
it's also that you're technically interfering in their karma
That's right.
by not being asked because they're coming to you in that example of that woman coming to me and saying, I've got a bad leg and I've got to go to the hospital tomorrow. Maybe she would have had a completely different experience had I not interfered. And maybe she would have learned something from that. But instead of that, I interfered by offering to do it for her. And
Yes.
therefore, the karma came back on me. I actually interceded and copped her karma.
Hmm.
Um,
And then we suffer for it. And it's like getting punched in the face,
yeah, yeah,
and meanwhile, you're just trying to offer a supportive, you're trying to play a supportive role, but you never gave any thought to how you're going to get home or where the petrol was coming from or who's going to cook your dinner and make sure
and
you're fed and watered.
I
We've
didn't eat that
lost,
day because I didn't take food with me.
I think, as 20 years ago for me, I had to learn to be kind, but set limits and boundaries and make sure that I was fed and watered first.
Mm. Yeah,
So that
yeah,
could be a little bit of a narcissistic sort of, some people might see that as having a big ego, but I see it as survival. I can't do it for others
mm,
if I don't take care of myself. So for me, it's an empowerment, and it was a big lesson that I think, all needed to learn.
yeah. Again, I'm part of the collective because I mean, I really do think that because of this imaginarium that we're living in, and it's only my personal belief. I don't really think that everybody should have that belief. It's just the way that I frame my world, and I think you frame it in the same way, don't you, Ginger?
Oh yes, from it's experiential. I can't memorize anything.
No,
It's all observation and
yeah.
experiences, and it's only my interpretation. It's just my perspective.
That's
That's
one
all I
thing about
have.
doing a reading for somebody. When I do readings for people, I don't retain any of it, and then later people come back to me and say, "Oh, blah blah blah," I go, "Oh, did I tell you that? Yeah, yeah, you told me that. Oh, okay." I don't retain it at all, but in a way, that's exactly what a channel should be
I'm
because it's
always
just a
happy to hear
flow.
that it helped. I don't always hear that part, so I don't know if it helps sometimes. I'm
Uh,
left wondering, but my intention is to be helpful.
yeah, yeah, I agree. All right.
And
So,
but
is
no, I
there
don't I
anything
don't
else?
always remember what's going on. I just do what I do.
Is there anything else that you? I mean, I wrote this out. The 12 laws of karma. Do you want me to read them out to you? And we'll have a discussion
Just,
about them, or
yeah, what are we going to do with them? Are we going to look at them like through the houses of the zodiac?
I don't know.
Do you think there's a connection?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. And see if you can relate to the houses of the zodiac when I read them out.
Well, the
So,
first one will be Aries, and we'll see how it feels.
whatever we put into the universe will come back to us.
And the statement for Aries is I am. So I agree with that. Whatever we think we are is what we are. And
Okay.
that'll be the energy that we're working with. Whatever we put out comes back.
Okay. So two would be Taurus, would it?
Taurus.
Okay. The law of humanity. One must accept something in order to change it.
The Taurus can be known to be quite stubborn. And the feminine side of the Taurus is the sacred cow. Why is that relevant? Can you read that again?
One must accept something in order to change it.
Mm.
I mean, the stubbornness could come into that because there could be a lack of acceptance. The the stubbornness could be like, I'm not going to accept this. I'm not going to accept this, regardless of whether it's staring you in the face or it's blatant.
Well, I think
It's
acceptance is huge. It's important for us to let people show us who they are and accept them for who they are and move accordingly. And likewise with our own internal, the parts that we keep hidden and that we don't want to acknowledge. It's important for us to, accept that part of us as well. Not necessarily give
what
it the wheel, but acceptance I feel is huge this year.
what's
And
the I am
it
statement?
gets us out of a state of like stuckness. It allows us to move energy. Once we accept it, then we can move beyond it.
And what's the I am statement for Taurus?
I have.
I have. Okay. So I've had quite a lot of Taurians in my life. My ex-husband was a Taurian. And they are technically, and it's a very generic thing, this, but they are technically very materialistic in relation to they're happy when the material world is met. They become very unstable when their material world is insecure, or so they actually don't like change very much. So
I would
that
agree
actually
with that.
makes sense that it would be one must accept something in order to change it.
Yes.
Okay, you ready for the next one?
Yes.
This is Gemini. This is me, right?
Gemini. Yeah, the
The law
twins.
of the law of responsibility. We must take
Hmm.
responsibility for what is in our lives.
Wow.
It's funny because I'm always going on about. I wrote a bloody book about responsibility,
Well, I
self
think that
responsibility.
and the twins are an interesting one if there is any connection. Because I think again there's a bit of a dualistic energy. It's like a yes you can, no you can't type of a game, I think, for the Gemini. So it's about can I take responsibility? Why would I? You know, I
Yeah,
don't know if
yeah.
that's true or not, but I think it is a very big challenge for, well, first of all, you have to recognize this about yourself and you have to look at the parts that you keep hidden. And I think for a lot of people, they call that mirror work.
I
Really
think
looking at yourself and seeing what is reflected back to you. Try to imagine how other people are experiencing you and
I
then take
think they
some responsibility for how you show up.
I think they've missed the word self out of that. I think it should read, "We must take self responsibility for what's in our lives."
Yes, I agree.
Not well for me it's not so much the external. I don't need to be responsible for other people, but
No,
I certainly need to be responsible for self, and for and it goes across everything, like responsible for what you think, responsible for what you do, responsible in the way you act, responsible in relation to um how you're dealing with your life in general, not hiding away from stuff or pretending it's just going to go away. You got to deal with it.
yes. Oh, I agree. Well, it won't go away. That's the thing. And again, this is what we're clearing this year.
Doing big stuff
It's
this year.
it's the stuff that we don't want to look at. We might be afraid of it. We might just want to, push it away, not think about it. We have to give it our attention. We have to walk towards it and let it
Yeah.
teach us what it came to teach us. And then
So
try and put that energy with acceptance, self-responsibility, gratitude, change,
mm,
all kinds of opportunities to shift it.
mm-hmm. In the physical and the astral and mental plane.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Well, because
So
everything is mental. So the physical is mental.
okay.
If you think that whatever you think of your body is what your body will be. If you hate your belly is going to hate you back.
Okay.
Love your avatar. Love your avatar. Every wrinkle and watch as they disappear.
Right. Number 4, which would be Cancer, the law of
Yes.
focus. We cannot think of two different things at the same time.
Voila. Mm.
Why would that be? Why would that be a law of karma? We cannot think of two different things at the same time.
And
So
does it line up with Cancerian values? Hmm. Well, Cancer for me is the mother. It's the crab. It's ruler
the hard
is
shell,
the
the
moon.
hard shell and the soft inside.
Correct. And the shell is there to protect the soft inner world. And yeah, and it's ruled by the moon, which is the watery emotions again. And mothers, we all come from the waters.
All right. So how does that relate to we cannot think two different things at the same time?
Well, I think the shield and the softness is the two different things. There's a will. I'm just thinking of Cancerians and the energy of a crab. Um, the crab will back away. The mother is not necessarily confrontational. They pull back and protect themselves. They shield themselves to some extent. However, they love huge. The emotions are there, and it's a big wave of energy. Yeah, kind of dualistic.
Mm,
Like I'm thinking of the mother dog, and how if the pup becomes too aggressive, she'll nip the pup.
right.
So a mother it can we can do both. I
Right.
can hug you and console you, and I can also nip you if I have to.
Hmm. I've got a couple of really good friends that are Cancerians. Um, Very clever people.
I would say very wise and
Hmm.
also very motherly
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
wise like psychics. They're
Yeah.
almost
But
always psychic. And if they
yeah.
can tune to the moon energy and again the cycles of the waxing and the waning moon, life becomes a lot more comfortable,
Hmm.
especially because the moon is their ruling planet.
Okay. So the next one is Leo. Is it
Leo, fifth house.
fifth house?
This is the
Right.
heart chakra. This is the dragon. This is so Leo and the dragon shares the same house on the Chinese zodiac.
So the law of here and now, we cannot be present if we are looking backwards.
Well, isn't that the truth? And I think that a lot of these stagnant waters, it's stuff that's been deeply buried in the past that we, again, if I just ignore it, it'll go away. No, it won't. We have to open the heart. I think we have to make peace with the past through acceptance and self-responsibility, gratitude, even.
You've had a recent experience with that, haven't you? You got really sick through that, and that you managed to clear it, didn't you?
I feel like I get to go first. Like anytime I become ill, I feel like it's okay, what is this teaching me? Because I feel as though I've observed this a number of times. It's not just a feeling. I've observed this a number of times where I know that people around me will suddenly suffer the same way. And I can oftentimes detect what herbs are helpful and what remedies really help me. But it's also highly esoteric. There's always a hidden reason.
By the way, guys, Ginger's got a very broad knowledge of herbal remedies and herbal supplements and things that she takes in relation to her diet. She's a vegan, and she supplements her diet with a lot of supplements. Sorry, that was a lot of supplements I put in that
I use a
sentence.
lot of tea. Like I've been just drinking hot water with ginger, turmeric, really trying to clear using your plant allies. There are some foods that are really high value, and I think they're must have in the kitchen. And you can do all sorts of, you can make salves, you can make tinctures, you can do so much in your own home.
Can you tell me, do you do private consultations at all?
I'm no expert, but I'm happy to help people find what might work for them through their astrology. So I would say I lean towards medical astrology.
Okay. So do you do medical astrology readings online or anything?
Yes, and numerology readings, and I've been working with a friend at a fur shop in Owen Sound, and doing private readings out of her location. And I've got my own little oasis that's kind of under construction. And but once we're a little more comfortable in our surroundings, then we'll likely invite others onto our own property where they can explore the zodiac garden. We've got a nice outdoor kitchen where we intend to learn together and make soaps and tinctures and just offer what wisdom we can gather and share. Nature has a lot to teach us. It's something that you never really finish learning.
All right. Anything else about the law of here now? We
A
cannot be
lot of here
present if we're
now,
looking
again,
backwards.
yeah, I can't go backwards, but I think we, with the heart being, this is, I think, a year of opening the heart chakra. So this is the Leo is all about the heart chakra. And looking backwards, it's going to weigh you down and it's going to present with very heavy chest, very, very hard to move mucus, and it's going to demand clearing this year.
Mm, okay.
And that way
So
we
the
can stay in the present moment because it's holding us down. So I do agree with that.
okay, right. We're now moving on to what comes after Leo. Got a mental blank. Is it Virgo?
Virgo.
Okay. Virgo, six. The law of patience and reward. The most valuable rewards require persistence.
I would have to say the Virgo is quite hardworking. Um, the Earth sign, again, a mother energy, um, analytical. That's their statement is I analyze. You feel like there's some similarities there in those qualities. And also the sixth house is all about our desires. So what is it that we desire? That's what all the analyzing is about. It's to dig in and find what's truly in the heart.
So requiring persistence. Do you think that the Virgos are capable of persistence? I do.
I I do, yes.
I do as well. I think they're very capable of persistence. I the Virgos that I know are very keep using the same word over and over. Very persistent. This is very, very good conversation.
I would describe for me Virgo is teacher. So many of the Virgos that I know have been some of the greatest teachers I've known, and I think it has to do with the analytics and the wisdom that they contain. They're
And
very wise.
I got a friend of mine that's got a Virgo sister, and she said when she goes into a wardrobe, all the clothes are hung in like a color coordination row, kind of like, and all the hangers are around the right way, and it goes from sort of red right the way through to the spectrum to purple. That it's all in a order. Everything's in order. Can't
Yeah,
say
I would
that.
agree with that. With the Virgos that I know, it's very
I
a
think the
lot of
Virgo female.
routines. Yeah, routines.
I'm not sure
Well,
about the
even the
Virgo male.
masculine Virgos that I know, they're very tuned to nature.
Very tuned to routine.
Yes, routine and nature, being in nature is a big part of their routine.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about Virgo?
No, I think that's true though about the persistence.
Okay, seven is
Libra.
Libra. So Libra is the law of creation. Life does not happen by itself. We need to make it happen.
I would agree with that. Libra is an air sign, and it's about our thoughts. And seven is a number of creation. And so,
Mm.
what is it that we're creating? The Libra does not like conflict and wants to have balance and harmony. So, I think that the
Mm.
challenge is to take a gamble.
Take a gamble. Get off the
Yeah.
bloody fence. It's saying that like sitting on the fence with a pain up your ass. I really, really feel that this year is very pertinent to that. So if you're sitting on the fence with a pain up your ass, It's very painful. Make a decision and move off the fence one way or another. Make a decision. The decision doesn't have to be a final decision. You can jump back over the fence if you like, but just get off the fence.
Yes, and decisions are a big part of that, especially if you have ruminating thoughts. It's important to make a decision about the thought, even if it's to make a decision to think about it tomorrow.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I'm going to sleep now, so I'll think about that tomorrow. That's my decision at this time. I'll bugger off.
Okay. All right.
We can take control, but it's important to, I think, clean it up. It's something that we do have to visit, and choose the time that you want to visit it, and really work at it, work at clearing it.
Um, so eight, what comes after Libra?
8 is Scorpio. So
Scorpio?
this is our sexual energy.
Right. All right. The law of growth. When we change ourselves, our lives change too.
Oh, I would agree with that. Hmm.
Scorpio. So, my mother was a Scorpio, but she was a very, 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 she was an extremely private person. She had an obsession with nobody knowing her business. So everything was internalized and
Yes.
very, very, very little got expressed. And she had these big dark glasses, and she used to wear these big dark glasses all the time. So you could never see her eyes, you could never see the expression that she was, I don't know. Maybe she wore dark glasses because of other reasons I've never found out about.
Maybe they were just stylish, eh, Kim? Maybe they were just stylish for her.
No,
Yeah,
they were huge. They covered virtually her face. She was tiny.
yeah.
Um, so she was very, very, very private. Didn't like anybody knowing her private matters, and didn't appreciate anybody talking about her private matters. Um, and wasn't very expressive. I think she was very imbalanced in her life, though. I mean, she's an alcoholic, and she died from cirrhosis of the liver. So she internalized it so much that she actually never really turned the corner in relation to expressing any of it, or finding a mode of expressing it. So it's not necessarily learning to talk or to put it out into the world, but finding a way to express it. So regardless if you do that through a private diary or journaling, or find a close confidant that you tell your situations to. But it's really important to get it out.
Well, I even say to speak it while you're driving, even if you're alone, like speak it. It's an expression of energy. It's about letting it out of the body because again, it becomes stagnant and then you got stuck energy. And that is for me, that's the definition of dis-ease. The body is now in a state of discomfort and dis-ease,
This
the opposite of ease.
this easy, Anna.
You
Right,
want
I've
to
got to
bring,
run away. Can you talk for a minute?
oh, I'll try. Scorpio is also known, so a lot of people think of Scorpio as it's got a stinger, but Scorpio is also known as the eagle. And I always think, it's for me, Scorpio is highly psychic, and the eagle flies higher than all the others. And I think the eagle has a very interesting point of view that most of us we can only imagine what it's like to be an eagle soaring high and having the scope that the eagle has. It'd be pretty cool to fly like an eagle or a dragon. Yeah. So yeah, Scorpio is the eagle and very psychic and also can be quite dark. Like when you think of the waters, Pisces is the ocean. It's the deepest waters. Um, a lake would be Cancer, a lake, ocean, and Scorpio is known to be like swamp, and so it's a very dark. It can be, well, it's what's hidden. Sexual business is usually kept, somewhat in the dark behind closed doors, for most of us, I think. And yeah, it's not something that we really talk about generally. So yeah, it's the stuff that we keep hidden. You there, Kim? All right, she's left me talking about sex. Well, after that, we've got, I don't know what the law is, but after that, we've got Sagittarius. And that's the ninth house. Nine is the number of the hermit, and it's the wisest of them all. And the character of the hermit is seen as an old man, an old wizard, if you will, holding a lantern. And I always see them, sort of head bent, like head down, very humble, but super wise and trying to light the way, holding a lantern and trying to light the way for others. And what's interesting to me about Sagittarius is
I'm
the
back.
archer, the hunter, the archer is always looking for where we're going next. We just moved on. We don't know what the law is for the ninth house, Kim, the
the
Sagittarian.
the ninth law is the law of connection. The past, the present, and the future are all connected.
Oh, that's very cool. Yes, well, that is the truth, isn't it? Like they say that like a lot of elders will say, we're planning for the next seven generations
Yeah.
because they recognize the impact that, and if the world could start to do this, that'd be such a cool thing.
Mm.
What we leave today will be manifesting long into the future.
I don't know about
Mm.
you, but I mean, I feel that this particular generation, or generation, I'd say the last 60 years, has been huge in relation to bringing things forth into the mind and into the perception. Whereas the world I was born into was very, very, very material, and not really looking at ramifications of the past or perceptions of the future.
That's
I
so
mean, I,
true. I mean, even just to look at the lyrics of some of the songs that we used to listen to, and we didn't question it. We just sang our
yeah,
hearts out. And now we
yeah,
listen and we go, what the hell? You know,
yeah, I know,
so just in that way, we've got,
yeah.
a broader vision, a broader scope.
So, with regards to Sagittarians, the past, present, and the future are all connected. So, how does that help them?
Well, I think for a lot of Sagittarians, it's very hard for them to stay in this moment. So I would say, yes, it definitely connects to them.
Right,
The mantra for Sagittarian ninth house is I see. And so they certainly do. They're oftentimes quite psychic. It's connected to our highest thinking. It's the house of well, for me, it's about taking aim for what you want. Like I imagine the arrow pointing the arrow at what you want.
right,
But like I think with the Sagittarian, when they get there, they're already aiming for something else. So it's very hard for them to stay in that moment. So
okay,
yes, past, present, future, all happening at once.
okay. Number 10, which is Capricorn, is it?
Yeah.
The law of giving and hospitality. Our behaviors should match our thoughts and actions.
Well, again, it's the disciplinarian, it's Saturn, it's the Dark Lord, it's the teacher. It's also the magician. When you think of it like 10th house, one and zero is one. So it's back
Right,
to the beginning of the number game at least. And yeah, so we're dealing with the energy of the magician again.
right, right.
Yeah, Capricorns are, from my point of view, very hardworking.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know how much more I can say about that because they are so hardworking. I would say that they're not very interactive.
No, I don't know. My dad was a Capricorn. He's very interactive.
Yeah, that's been your
Uh,
experience.
yeah, I mean, um, very, very, very focused on the material. Again, this is their sign. So very focused on materials in the material world, very focused on how things look in relation to the material world. So
Mhm.
everything was sort of like focused.
Yeah.
What's happened to my vocabulary today? I think I lost it. Very channeled in relation to uh very hardworking.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
or I'd call it more stoic, like he could steer the course. He's a very keen sailor.
Yeah,
Um,
very wise, has everything available to them. If you think again in the
Very
terms
wise.
of
Yeah,
the magician has all the tools available to them.
yeah, yeah. And he could tap into them. I mean, at one stage, he had a stroke, and when they went to do the assessment on him, he didn't fit into any of the categories because he was good at some things and good at other things, good at things he shouldn't have been good at, and he didn't actually fit into the tests that they were doing on him. And they actually asked him if he would be willing to be a test subject because because his status was unique. Um,
Oh, that's very cool. And did he
mm,
agree?
no,
No.
no, not remotely interested. But I think it was because he was an architect, so he was used to combining the left and right brain hemispheres.
Yes,
During his thinking process, he could access either brain, which was actually quite unusual. People are usually either in an autistic mode or in the left brain practical mode, and it's very difficult to combine the two. Um, and I think that he had that unique talent because of his career. It was
that's
something
very
that
interesting.
he'd
Well, I
honed
think
in.
that was his career because of his talent.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Anyway,
it's very
uh,
interesting. Yeah, I can't speak much to the Capricorn, but the energy, the statement is I use, and again,
I
it's
would
the
say total user.
energy of the magician, where they have all the tools available to them, nothing but opportunity and loads of hard work. Big lessons can be learned from them. They're quite wise,
Yeah,
and but they've done the work, like work, work, work.
yeah. Okay. Next one is 11, which is Aquarius.
Yes, and so the 11, one and one is two. So again, it's a feminine number, and very curious about this. For me, it's a portal.
And what's the I am statement with it?
I am statement for Aquarius is I know.
I know. Okay. So the law is the law of change. History repeats itself until we learn from it and change our path.
Well, isn't that right where we're at then?
Yeah, that's right. Where we're at. That's this year.
I say it all the time. Nothing new under the sun. Like we can look at Mayan calendars, we can look at Aztec stuff, we can look at every imaginable story, and we will find synchronicities.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Because
and
there's really truly nothing new under the sun until the fractal breaks in and goes in a different direction, and that would be those of us who have veered from the mainstream. And what does our friend call it, Kim? When I said, what happens when part of the fractal doesn't want to do what the rest of the fractal is going to do? Because a fractal to me is a pattern of energy that just continuously goes in the same motion. Like it's going to constantly go in a spiral, for example.
so you're talking about the angel and the angle, are you?
Yes, he said
So
it was an archangel,
an arc,
archangel.
arc yeah, an archangel and archangel. But he said that the um it's all because of the friction. Whilst it's going in a straight line, there's no friction.
Right.
So the angle arcs, and then when the arc occurs, then there's friction, and the the angle becomes an angel,
Yeah.
or the angel becomes an angle. I don't remember which it is, but it's basically a broken angel, a broken wing, a
Yes.
broken um, a broken part of essence of self.
Well, and it's a
And
new path. It's pioneering. It's pioneering a new path.
yeah, so the Aquarians are the pioneers. You're saying?
I would say yes. Um, we're not going to do what we've always done. They know, we know, we're learning. This is why we suddenly can hear the lyrics.
Yeah, Yeah.
We have a greater capacity. And again, with Pluto moving into Aquarius, this is huge.
So, so would you say that the Aquarians would have a more challenging year this year than most?
Um, Not necessarily. I think that this energy has been present. It's present in all of our charts. We all have Aquarius in our charts. It's just an aspect of who we are and the experiences that we get to have.
So a prism, and that's a wall, a section of the crystal or something like a prism of it.
Well, you can be a Leo, but have all your planets sitting in the 11th house of Aquarius. And
Mm,
so that Leo is here to be, learning all about the opposite side of the wheel.
mm,
Each of us has different lessons to learn while we're here. But I think no, I think it'll be the currency of the future, from my point of view, is our ability to be curious and adaptable. And also, it's our consciousness.
mm.
It's our awareness that we are creators and we are the narrators. And what story do we want to narrate?
All right. Are you ready to move on to the final one, 12?
I am.
Okay. What is the 12th house? What's the statement for it?
12th house is Pisces. These are the two fishes, the 2 feet, and it is the statement is I believe.
Okay. So the law of significance and inspiration. Rewards are a result of the energy of effort we put into it. Sounds very earthy, the Pisces.
It does sound
Rewards
earthy.
are, rewards are a result of the energy and effort we put into it.
Well, it's interesting that you say it sounds earthy because it's the 12th house. 1 and 2 is three. Three is the number of the Empress, which to me is always very earthy sign. And
Right.
it's like for me, it's like a Mother Nature kind of energy. That card. So the three is an earth energy to my in my mind.
Okay, so the Pisces should be the masters of the Imaginarium, shouldn't they? Because they've
Oh
got the I
yes,
believe. So
and
they've
they're
got this
ruled by
this
Neptune.
right. So they've really, really got the inspiration, water signs, so they could be highly psychic.
Highly
And
psychic.
what happens if that sign is in denial about the psychic aspect of self?
They become reclusive and, think deep water. They're the deepest parts of the ocean. A lot of times you'll never really know what a Piscean is thinking, because they have this ability to sort of be in two worlds. Again, it's the 2 feet. Um, yeah, there's a duality there, and so they can be in two worlds at once. They can be sitting and politely listening to you while their mind is really ventured off into a completely different direction.
Right. And still absorb what you're saying.
Yes,
Mm, mm.
yeah. So to say that you can't have two thoughts at once, that's why I said I don't know about that.
I can remember this is completely irrelevant, but I can remember doing courses years ago and falling asleep in them regularly and still knowing at the end of the lesson what had been said.
Oh,
It was like I learned better during sleep state than I did awake.
well, that makes sense because your resistance is very low. You're more open. Edgar Casey was known to be the sleeping prophet or the sleeping
Yeah,
cycle.
yeah, he was amazing. I mean, some of his stuff. I got into Edgar Casey when I was about 18 or 20, I think, and read a lot of his books. And
I would
I was,
encourage everyone to look at his remedies because he was
yeah,
he was diagnosing, and
yeah,
the remedies I use a lot of the remedies that he used, and there was
yeah,
only a few. There was only a few that he really felt that he needed to give people, and he had a great efficacy, like in terms of the way people
yes,
responded to his wisdom,
yes,
his
yes,
guidance. It was like amazing. I think they had a
yeah,
97% efficacy rate. So people were getting results 97% of the time.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
2 or 3% that didn't get a good response, there was a good reason for it. I can't recall the story, but. There was
He's a
the
very
person was
ethical man too,
closed.
like
Yeah.
extremely ethical.
Well, he went through a period of his life where he couldn't speak.
I know, 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah. And he reckoned that he was struck that way because he had an instance where he was doing a reading and somebody used the information in the reading for materialistic gain.
Yes.
Like I think it was something to do with the stock market or like investing heavily in the stock market. I think, and this man made a lot of money out of it. And Edgar Casey swore he wouldn't do any readings ever again. And then when because he did them in a trance-like state, so he wasn't capable of filtering what he would answer or what he wouldn't answer. And then from then on, when he did come back to it 20 years later, and the only reason he came back to it 20 years later was because his son was ill, or he
Yes.
was ill. It was either him or his son was ill. And he came back to it 20 years later. And from then on, he had a trusted secretary who asked the questions. He fielded everything through her.
And was that not his wife too, Kim?
Might have been. I don't know. I know that the person was a female, and I know that he trusted her implicitly. It's a long time since I read those books. So, as I said, I read them when I was like 20 or something, and I read every Edgar Casey book I could get my hands on. I was really, really, really intrigued by the whole concept of it. He once went in a building and went to step into a lift. And I don't know if this is true, but nobody had an aura. So he stepped back because it threw him.
Oh,
And the lift plummeted down and all the people died in the lift.
well,
But
and how do
I
you
don't,
explain that without looking absolutely crazy? I mean, so many of us have had to, I keep calling it fly our freak flag, and we've taken a lot of abuse along the way. We've become a little more resilient to criticism and that type of thing. But that's all part of the path, right? It's all part of the journey.
yeah. And saying it anyway.
I'm saying it
Yeah.
anyway because you feel so strongly about it. It's such a deep calling that
Yeah.
whether you're right or wrong, we're all right and we're all wrong. What works for me might not work for you, but I'll share what works for me, especially if I think it might help you. There's
Yeah.
that caregiver disorder again. But yeah, Edgar's one remedy that comes to mind. He was really watching people's digestive system, and he taught me my interpretation of his teaching, at least, is what I can recall. And so, for people who suffer from reflux, for example, a state of like regurgitation, and
Mm,
a lot of people suffer from that, and they call it digestive disorders. But he would say, you just have to prepare the digestive system. And he would recommend that you drink a 50-50 mix of pure grapefruit juice and nothing added to it, and water. Drink a 50-50 mix 20 minutes before you eat your food. And that should be enough to help to prepare the digestive system. And then
oh,
the other thing that he said was digestion really begins with chewing. And so just that little bit of wisdom that he would impart over and over and over again would make a
mm,
profound difference in the people's lives that came to him for help.
mm.
It was one of
Might
the
be,
one of the primary lessons I remember reading about when I read the book. It was like, oh, this keeps coming up. So
mm.
I took it very seriously and offered it to a number of people that I know, and it has
Mm.
helped.
Right, let's go back to the law of significance and inspiration. So that was Pisces. Rewards are the result of the energy and effort we put into it.
Well, and
12th.
12 is the number of completion here. It's the for the Western calendar at least, it's the end of the cycle, end of the wheel.
So does that mean that and this is just a general question now, because I've always kind of got a bit confused about the idea that Aries is like the baby. It's like the baby soul. It's like but it's not the baby soul, of course, because of, but for some reason, because it's the first sign of the zodiac. I mean, um, does that mean the Pisceans are more mature souls?
Uh, yeah. because we come out head first. So it's like from start to finish. It's like that's the finish. It represents
Okay.
the Aries is the head and Pisces is the 2 feet. So ideally we come out head first. And it is the ram. It is like not an easy experience for us. We really have to ram our way through this little portal. And
Mm.
certainly not an easy experience for moms. But yeah,
I must
it's
admit,
also it's also
it,
the seed, the plant coming up in the springtime from the frozen soil. It's the same energy. It's the start
it
of new life. It's the beginning of the new year from my point of view.
right, that they took and changed it.
Well, because we think that we should be well on our way to starting a year, but we're still clearing. We're
Hmm.
still like we're just getting over the year of the water rabbit. What a ride.
Mm. And
Like I
straight
think,
into this. I mean, oh, very, very trying stuff this year so far. Very
well,
testing.
yes, because it's transformative, and I think a lot of people are uncomfortable with change. Now, if you can flip the script and become entrepreneurial with this energy, then I think your ability to manifest abundance is great. The
Yeah,
energy of the dragon will get you there. And
yeah,
the number 8 is the number of wealth. And
yeah,
so it is the number of strength and courage. And so that entrepreneurial spirit, the transformations are going to be amazing this year.
yeah.
We're,
And that,
we're
and
going to
but
see rapid changes, and a lot is coming out
yeah,
still.
and this is only the beginning of it. You got to bear in mind that by the time, I mean, last year was the year of the tower. It was supposed to be things coming crashing down and crumbling down and what have you. And this is the rebuilding of it. This is actually getting rid of all of the rubbish, like getting rid of the rubble.
Yeah.
Because last year was the crashing of all of the rubble, and this year's getting rid of the rubble. So it's clearing out to create a new foundation, a much stronger foundation than we've ever known before,
Oh, I
but without
agree.
all the crap in it.
Finally. Well, just I think a lot of us thought we were cleared. And last year we learned that that was far from true. We had a lot of work to do still. And
And this year I've learned it even more.
yeah, and bear in mind, speaking of end of cycles, this is 12 years since 2012. That's
Yeah.
something I want to touch on for a minute too, Kim. Like, how many of us knew 2012 was going to be the end of the world? Like, we kind of knew that as a society. We accepted that was a common belief. And did we manifest it? Because so many of us sort of subscribe to that in some way. I know I was watching to see what would happen, and in hindsight, I can see that absolutely everything changed in 2012. Nothing is what it was.
No, no. And that was 2012, would have been 12 years since 2000,
Yep,
which was again another big shift because it was the new millennium.
correct.
Um,
And the
mm,
energy of the high priestess. I really do think that that is the blue Kachina right there, and that's Pluto.
so just before we go, I just want to touch on the two cards for this year, which is it is a the two cards, lovely cards, by the way, absolutely lovely cards are strength and the star. So the star's all about it's the star of hope and the strength. I mean, I had a dream when I was about 16 that that strength had been incorrectly interpreted and it should have been courage on there rather than
Yes.
strength because she's putting their hand in the lion's mouth. So technically, it should have been courage because strength can also be determined as somebody working out with muscles and getting big muscles, which is not kind of what this is about. This is about courage and having the capacity to stand your ground and face that reality that's hitting you and name it and work your way through it and be brave with it. Stand strong, stand in your power.
Yes, most definitely.
And
Face your
then the
fears. If you've got fears, face what you've been unwilling to face. Vibrate higher.
Yeah.
vibrate higher. So it's full of opportunities this year. The star card for me, it's reminiscent of Aquarius. So again, I do feel like it's perfectly timed. Energies are yellow, and so that's the that card is the strength card is predominantly yellow, and for me, that's all solar plexus. So
Right.
it's about taking action and
God. So, right,
but in a
okay.
very gentle way. Like you can't approach a lion without like that without a lot of love in your heart. And the lion is like submissive. The tail is between his legs.
Yeah. Again, believe what we've been taught, what we've been indoctrinated with. I mean, if I once came across a tiger and run
Well,
like
and
shit.
again, the lion is the dragon because
I'm telling
they
you,
share the same house on the wheel, and
I,
that's
well,
interesting.
I was once in a hotel in Malaysia with my ex-husband, and it was on the third floor. I think this apartment on the third floor. It's in the jungle,
Hmm.
but we're in this like apartment on the third floor, and we went down for breakfast, and we came back up to find about 15 monkeys in our room,
Oh my gosh!
and
Oh, wow.
unpacked our suitcases and stuff lying all. Half the stuff was missing. God knows where it's in the Malaysian jungle somewhere, I think. Half of our clothes were missing.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh! I don't think you've
It's
ever
unlike the.
shared that story.
It was funny. It's like, oh, okay. Didn't expect that. 7 monkeys in the room.
That's unbelievable. Well, no, how would you ever imagine, like, what kind of dreams did you have that night? Like the night before?
It's actually a rude story as well. Uh, we went up to Bali for a friend's 40th birthday, I think,
Yeah.
and they'd gone into the monkey temple. I didn't go in because I'd spent quite a lot of time in Bali, and don't. I wouldn't say I don't like monkeys, but I find them quite. Anyway, I didn't go in, but they all went into the monkey temple. And the monkey got the guy whose birthday it was. The monkey got hold of his shorts and his underpants and pulled them down around his ankles
Oh no.
in front of everybody. He's like, Ugh. Very mischievous, the monkeys.
Yes. No, don't think
Yes.
I prefer monkeys around.
No, they were a bit. The other one was we went up this. I think this was in Malaysia too. Went up this really really steep stepped pyramid that had like, maybe 200 steps or 300 steps or something. And there wasn't any railings or anything. And the monkeys were jumping all over you. And I didn't like that. But I didn't like that either. That was not because you're trying to kind of come back down and monkeys jumping on you and things. It was really dangerous.
Oh yeah, it would be.
Mm. Anyway,
Well,
enough
we
monkey
covered a lot,
stories for the
Kim.
moment.
What else have we got for tonight?
Um,
We've gotten
I
to
reckon
monkeys.
come to monkeys and it's the year of the dragon. Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Well, the
I
dragon
mean,
is the heart. If it's the same house as Leo, to me it's the heart. It's about opening the heart chakra. It's about moving stagnant energy. Um, the heart is it's to me it's the Midgard. It's the earth. It's this plane that we're on, and it's how the two energies, the twin flame, meet. So the spirit and the ego, how we are able to meet is by opening that heart chakra. It will not be opened as long as we feel threatened. We have
and
to
we have
face, we have to
we
face
ab-
what's hidden.
we absolutely have to be empowered to do it. You can't
Most
walk into
definitely.
it. You can't walk into it in a disempowered way because
Definitely not.
it'll be invited. It's something you won't be able to avoid. I mean, it's almost like it's on tracks,
I
and you're going to be
agree.
invited into it. It may. I mean, I am going to link that Amanda Ellis video, but one of the things how she starts is obsession. So it may
Yes.
come through as an obsession.
Well, and I think these
Um,
are the energies that people are being asked to clear. Like, what is it that really keeps them stuck? What is it that's stopping their growth? Is it a fear of speaking? Maybe they have to open their throat chakra back to the musical scale. Do, re, mi, fa. Where is it stuck? Where does it not sound right? And just listen. The first time will tell you everything you need to know.
None of mine sound right. I'll try it, Hannah. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Oops, got some crown work. See how it is? And yeah, so pretty cool. And I'd say pretty accurate too.
You do,
I'm
you
not,
do it,
I'm,
you do
you
it,
want me
Ginger.
to do it? Oh,
Yeah, you
so
do
great. I'm going to be right out of key.
it.
Yeah. Okay, take your own medicine. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Oh, I
That's
got
actually really good.
my third
I,
eye sounded a little wonky.
I thought that was really good. I want
I
yours.
recently opened that again. I had a very interesting experience. I became a Reiki master. Thanks to Denise, she helped walk me through it. She's a great, great healer, and she's got a lot of wonderful tools and services to offer to people. That's where I'm offering my services, is in her shop. And yeah, so when I was allowing her to, what do you call it? The attunement.
Yeah.
When I was allowing her to do the attunement, I had to open. And I'm not used to being open because I'm a very reluctant traveler. I keep my shield on high.
Mm,
And I said, okay, allow. And it was just shown to me as she was clearing. It's like, okay, I can see now why I've kept my third eye closed. Because once upon a time it was open. I used to see, I was sensing a lot more and seeing a lot more than I had been. And so that attunement, the discussion we had before the attunement really opened my eyes, and I was able to see how I had blocked it. I had at one time said, I don't want to see. And with that, I lost my dreams. And I realized for the first time it was me making that decision of not
wow.
wanting to see because I was seeing spirit, and it was, I call it whack-a-mole. You know, how that little game that'll pop up out of nowhere. I really didn't
Mm,
like that experience very much.
mm,
And I had lost someone very dear to me. And I said, just quite frankly, I don't want to see. I don't mind knowing. So I got a lot of information still, but I didn't see them. And I was uncomfortable with the idea that they were going to show themselves, and I just couldn't handle it. So
wow.
I closed it at that time. And with that, I was able to reopen it during this attunement with Denise and say, I'm ready, and I know that I'll only see what is necessary and of service to my highest good. So I was able to fine tune it for the first time in my life, and it's no longer a whack a mole experience.
Mm. Guacamole.
Well, well, it was very sort of unsettling. All of a sudden, you've got an ancestor there. What the hell? You know,
Mm, mm,
I'm not
mm.
dreaming. I'm wide awake. This is crazy. Nobody believes me.
Don't need
But
to.
that was my
I mean, I
experience.
completely wide open. I mean, nobody has to listen to any of this. I mean, it's just you and me ranting, really.
No, exactly.
You know, we're just
If it, hey,
ranting about stuff
if
that we've
it's
come
of
across that we
interest to
find
someone,
interesting. Yeah,
I've no shame. If it's of interest to someone, if it's of use to someone, if people want to laugh, I don't care. I
right.
just put it there, and I trust that it's done with the highest intentions, and hopefully it finds people that, want to hear it.
I've got very, very big intentions this year to um, change my life. So um, I'm not sure how much I'm going to be around in relation to a static experience of being able to record these videos. But we'll wait and see, just see what
So
comes
we'll
out.
see what happens. We'll ride the dragon.
I'm going to ride the dragon. Yeah. I hatched a baby dragon called Spiky, little golden one.
Golden
Um,
Funky Dragon. That's
Little
cool, Kim.
Spiky. Mm. All right. So, anything else you want to say before we finish? By the
Uh,
way, the golden dragon's not a physical thing. He's not sitting in my house or anything. He's just in my imaginarium.
but that's
Oh,
okay.
magic carpet rides.
Yeah,
Been going on.
why
We've
not?
been going on all these magic carpet rides, and just really cool. Grab a magic carpet and shut your eyes and travel to wherever you want to travel to, and be with people that you want to be with, and just have imaginarium experiences as much as you like,
Well,
but make it
exactly.
fun.
We've talked about telepathy a lot, and that type of thing is real. It's all energy. And
Mm,
so, as much as, we know that a lot of psychics can appear to communicate with our deceased loved ones, what about the loved ones that are here with us now? I
yeah,
believe it's the same methodology. And so, go for it and just talk to the people's, if you can't communicate with the ego, communicate with their spirit.
I used to sleep with a man who snored a lot, and I used to
Mhm.
talk to his higher self and say, "Can you stop him snoring?" And he always did.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm gonna have to remember this.
Anyway,
See the problems we solve, eh, when the two of us get together.
all right. That's it. Comments if you want to. Um, had a great chat. Thank you very much for your wise input. Really, really appreciate it. And we'll talk soon.
I have nothing without you, Kim. You've always got some really good topics that you bring forward, and it's always a pleasure to have an opportunity to chat with you, and especially it's nice to share. So we'll do it when we can.
Okay.
All the
All
best,
right.
everyone. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah. Ta-ta for now. Bye.
Bye for now.